Hey there, Kissable Misters. It's your favorite boy, B3, back with another kicking manga review. We have a big manga omnibus today. It is the Super Sentai Himitsu Sentai Gorenger Classic Collection by Shotaro Inishomori and published by Seven Seas. Yes, so if you're a longtime follower of this channel, you know that I'm a big fan of tokusatsu and Henshin heroes. I've talked about Red Man, Radiant Black, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider. I've done comics for all of those, and I've done a lot of figures as well. This is the first Super Sentai manga I'm reviewing. It to my knowledge, this is the only one in the States. Legally. And it is the original Sentai, Gorenger, which I haven't seen. I've seen the team in like Super Sentai movies and stuff, but I haven't seen their show. I kind of just hop around with Sentai and I don't watch it in order. One day, I'd love to watch it. I'll get to it. I just haven't watched Sentai in a while, actually, to be honest. But I was very happy to read this manga, especially since it's by Shotaro Ishinomori, there we go, who also wrote and illustrated the classic Kamen Rider manga for the original Kamen Rider show, which I am a big fan of. I haven't finished that show because it's really long, but I have seen a lot of it. And I've seen that Kamen Rider guest star a lot too, in other Rider stuff. But let me read you the back of the book. Shotaro Inishnomori's classic manga that helped inspire Power Rangers, now in English for the first time ever. An evil secret society called the Black Cross Army threatens world peace, and only an elite task force known as the Earth Guard League, or Eagle, can stop them. After the Black Cross Army destroys Eagle's headquarters across Japan, 5 young recruits survive, hiding in a secret underground base. They are given enhanced battle suits that empower them with superhuman abilities, transforming these youths into the unstoppable squad to combat evil. Oh god, I love Henshin heroes so much. Toku is the best, man. This book runs for about $24.99 in the US, which I think is a pretty decent price. It's a thick, complete collection omnibus with good binding, nice hardcover, you know. It says it's for ages 10 and up. I think that's probably a pretty good rating for it. And there are actually 2 manga in here, because there are 2 different Gorenger manga. There is a shonen one, and then there's one for like, which is like teen boys, and then there's like a 5th grader one. But in the front, there is like a biography for Shotaro Ishinomori, and also some info about tokusatsu and the Henshin boom for those who are out of the loop. Maybe people who were just fans of Power Rangers as a kid and maybe picked this up out of curiosity, so they can have a bit more historical context for it. Pretty cool. The first one we're going to talk about is the one from Weekly Shonen Sunday. It originally ran in that from May 4th to 1975 through August 10th, 1975, which is issues 18 through 32 and whatnot. Yeah. So this ran concurrently with the show. Pretty cool. 2 different versions for different age groups. Very interesting. And it does have kind of a very classic style with very rounded features on the characters, but it really works for this. I liked it in Kamen Rider. I thought it had a lot of charm. And I still think that this art style has a lot of charm here. I really do. It's pretty great. So, we see kind of our first hero, Tsuyoshi, and he kind of gets called to see his father. He lives at a dojo with his father. His father makes him put on this red suit. And then he's jumped by a bunch of ninjas, and the suit makes him easily kick their butts. And one of them takes his girlfriend captive, but he's able to stop him real quick. But it turns out they're all dojo students. And this was a test. His girlfriend was even in on it. And she is actually Go Pink. She's the Pink Ranger. I'll just call them Rangers. That's easier for the Western audience, isn't it? But then his father tells him about the Black Cross Army. And it's like, hey, these fuckers are going to take over. They're basically Shocker. They're basically Shocker, but a little less fascist. They're more like a gang and less, you know, what Shocker is. But yeah, at first he's like, man, I don't want to be a superhero secret agent, dude. It's almost like a spy manga, actually. Superhero spy manga. But then his dad is murdered by the Black Cross Army. And we see more members of the team. One is like a bigger guy who hangs out with a smaller guy, and the smaller guy is always asking him riddles, which I thought was actually very fun. I liked trying to think of them. Some of the riddles, the answers baffled me. And sometimes that's because of translation issues, because there actually is a translation guide in the back of this that's like, hey, here's how some stuff changed in translation, and here's some cultural context and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And then, you know, there's another character who's kind of like stereotypical, edgy, cool guy. He's there. A lot of Sentai teams have him. Actually, he's pretty standard. He's a pretty standard Sentai team member. A lot of the time, also secondary riders kind of have that. But they have a cool jet. This is before Megazords, so they have like a big tiger jet and stuff. And they do a lot of really cool fighting. Like they get a lead on a base, and they have to fight these tanks and these like Toku soldiers on horseback, and this crazy samurai on like a flying robot Pegasus. A lot of cool robots, but then the edgy guy's friend betrays them, and he basically has to hunt down and kill his own friend. It's actually very emotional after his friend betrays them. It's the Blue Ranger who's the edgy one. And his friend is like, you know, I'd be able to defeat you if you took that suit off. And then he does. He pops the helmet off. And they have like an old-style Western draw. And yeah, it's got the whole little JoJo menacing thing, but this is, of course, before JoJo. It's very good. It's an insane moment, very reminiscent of Ancient Hero Legacy. It's really cool, but they do end up winning the day, which is very nice. And then there's also this big, like robotic kind of sauropod dinosaur, but it's like kaiju sized. And there's a lot of references to it. Someone calls it Nessie, someone says it's Godzilla, someone says Call Masked Rider or Ultraman. Yeah, and that's all just on one page. Everything I just said is from one page. So you have this big kaiju-sized mech attacking the city, and the Gorengers have to stop it in their big old plane. And I just love how it's drawn. It's drawn in such a fun, classical way. And even when they blast its head off, it just reveals a porthole with the pilot, who is, of course, another masked evil. I really like this robot. It has a pretty basic design, but the way it's drawn is so classic, and it's shaded incredibly well, and there's always like smoke and fire around it. It's really cool looking. I feel like there's a lot more detail in the art for this arc with the big robot. I think, in all honesty, I think Ishino Mori just really liked this one, and he went really hard on it. Really hard on it. But they, of course, defeat it, and that's it. That's the whole shonen one. It's just those two big story arcs. Next, we have the Shogaku Gonensei, which I think means 5th grader edition, or just 5th grader. This one originally appeared in Shogaku Gonensei magazine from April 1975 through July 1975. So it's much faster and less complex. We get another origin for our red hero. He's kind of playing football, and then he learns that his dad's going to be attacked, and he has to put on the suit and help out. And he's still a little reluctant, but not nearly as reluctant as before, and it's not as violent and destructive. It's still pretty violent and destructive, but not as violent and destructive. You see him, even without the suit, fighting off the Black Cross Army, and then other Rangers show up to kick his butt. Or kick their butts, not kick his butt. But he does, of course, end up joining the team as Gorenger. You know, very fun. They got a big flag with a big, like, S. Super Sentai. Got big S's on the belts and everything. Gotta love it. Then they have to fight these devil ships. And God, I was reading this and I was like, that's such classic Showa Henshin Hero. There are these little boats, like little sail pirate ships, like you'd see in like a little model kit, flying around, threatening this scientist like, hey, we kidnapped your granddaughter, you have to give us blueprints. But he goes to Eagle for help, and of course the Black Cross Army is stalking him, and they knew that, so they're like, well, you betrayed us, so now we're going to betray you, but they're really the type to betray anyway, you know? But there is a big ship that they attack with their very fancy and very cool big old jet. And then a bunch of robots get stolen. And this is probably the lowest stakes story in this entire complete collection. A bunch of robots get stolen, and the Black Cross Army seems to be the ones to take credit for it. But it turns out they aren't. The Black Cross Army shows up later to steal the robots after they heard someone used their name during a crime, but it wasn't the Black Cross Army. It was like the assistant that was watching the robots overnight, and it's actually pretty decently clever how they figure it out. And Robbie the Robot's in it. Not in an official capacity, but like a toy of him. That is an important plot point. And you can tell that also all these villains, this one is like a gear mask guy. All these Black Cross Army villains are just black cloak with a cool head, which is a lot of Showa Toku villains, especially weekly ones, you know? And the robots all look really cool and fun. But yeah, that is it. I actually think this is a very good book. It's got a lot of the same feel as Kamen Rider. The Kamen Rider book is a lot more serious. Yes, the first half of this is pretty serious, but the second half really isn't. Kamen Rider wasn't like that. It was decently serious the whole time. There were lighthearted moments, but in Kamen Rider, it can get randomly hyper-violent very quickly. And the ending to the Kamen Rider manga is a huge bummer. The biggest bummer you'll ever read. Oh my god, it will make you be like, what? Definitely go check out my review of the classic Kamen Rider manga collection. It's insane. I don't think I would recommend the Kamen Rider Classic Manga Collection for your kid. This one I probably would. There's one part where a guy gets exploded, but it's almost more of a Looney Tune-esque kind of explosion where your skin just gets all sooty and you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. You know what I mean? Very cartoony. That's in the 5th grader edition. I think this is a good comic. Very good, and it also has a lot of stuff in here that provides a lot of cultural context for those who might not have it. It's really, really good. And there are times when the obvious thing doesn't happen, you know? Especially when you're like me, because I've been starting to read more and more manga. Both shonen and outside of that demographic. Because I'm dating someone who is very into manga. But this is actually his. I borrowed this from him. But it's nice branching out into manga like this because a lot of the time in American comics, especially corporate American comics, I'm not so much like Image, but for like Marvel and DC, it's very easy to predict what's going to happen. And of course, you still know the good guys are going to win, but there are moments in this book where it's like a very interesting. They won in a very clever, fun, interesting way. And I liked it. This is a genuinely good book. If you like Power Rangers, and especially if you like Super Sentai, I'd say it's a must-read. It's affordable for the size, and especially for a hardcover book. Because I've seen my partner pay like $40 for hardcover mangas this size. And those are usually more adult mangas, not like kind of adult, but I mean like thematically adult. Maybe violent or gory or horror. But this book, yeah, it has its violence, but no more than like Power Rangers. If you're okay with Power Ranger level violence, then you'll be okay with this. Because that's what this is. It's a good book with fun art, and both the stories are good. I do think that the shonen story is better, but that makes sense. I mean, one of the stories in here is for teens, and the other is for small children. So that is it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.